what you came here for. So don't hit me with the shot. We ain't got all night, but I'ma make it feel timeless. Kiss the right places, so you know where my mind been. Kiss the right places, baby, you know what the vibe is. I can tell you want this ride as bad as I do, as bad as I do. That's why you came through.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to a special edition of the E Spot. I cannot wait until you guys meet my beautiful, smart guest. You guys are going to love her. She's done so much. I'm going to just go down her resume a little bit, well, her bio, and share a little bit with you about Laura Haddock DiCarlo. So, Laura DiCarlo founded a sex tech company, Laura DiCarlo, in 2017. And after spending a decade in the healthcare industry, she put her obsession with anatomy to hard work. Laura is the inventor of OSE, a first of its kind product that holds 9 different patents pending in micro robotic technology, and was a CES 2019 Innovation Awards honoree in the robotics category. She is a game changer if I've ever heard one, because not only with the CES award, they actually tried to take it away from her. So she fought for it and got it back. When the award was redacted, she ended up she opened up, the public conversation about gender bias and inclusion in the tech industry, and worked with CTA to update their policies for 2020. So she had a completely different experience. I can't wait for her to tell you exactly what happened and how she was able to not only get her award back, but change CES and women in tech in general for the better during that event. Laura has been listed as one of the top 53 women CEOs disrupting health tech by Forbes. To date, Laura has raised over 5.2 million for the company, including government funding from the state of Oregon, and sits on the board of Technology Association of Oregon. She and her team slammed out the gate at the end of 2019 to bring home over $3 million in pre-sale revenue in the first 5 weeks of launch. Let me say that again. Did you hear me in the back? 3 million in pre-sale revenue in the first 5 weeks of launch. I really want to hear all of her wonderful tips on not only being a woman in technology, but fighting for her rightful award, because she was given the award of innovation, and then they were like, "There's a moral clause," but she'll go into more detail for you. Laura has been named the Executive of the Year by the International Business Awards, and was awarded a Silver Stevie as Most Innovative Woman of the Year by the Women's Business Awards. Amazing 3 additional awards from the Stevies last year. This year, Laura DiCarlo brought home 10 new awards from the Consumers Electric Show, CES, and named Best of CES 6 times over by entities such as Time and Good Housekeeping. She is an internationally sought after speaker and has appeared in events including Forbes Global Women's Summit. Did you hear that? Yes. Forbes Global Women's Summit, and the Detroit 30 Under 30 Summit, SXSW, TechCrunch, Disrupt, CES Tech Open Air, and was a featured speaker at the multiple prominent events throughout 2020. So we'll have to hear about that. I want to hear her tips for not only being a speaker, being a CEO, but also just like entering in a space that is normally not thought of for women, and just hearing what like how she was able to accomplish so much in such a little time, as far as just getting $3 million in revenue. That's kind of amazing. All right, she's texting me on Instagram, so hopefully I can send her the link to make sure she knows where to go, because she's not on the live yet. But that's what happens in these new times. There's so much going on that time. I mean, it's like Groundhog Day, yes, where you think it's one time and then you find out it's another time, and next thing you know, you're running late for stuff. Because even yesterday, so funny, the guest, Prissy P and DJ, they were super early for the show, and we just started talking. Next thing you know, it was 6:03. Oops, I'm about to yank my own thing off. So it happens. That's the joy of being live is that you just roll with it and fix it later. Like this hair that's sticking up out of nowhere. I just noticed is not part of the painting. It is my hair. Yeah. It's definitely time for me to update the hairdo. That's why I'm wearing a headband. But also wanted to support Duke Health because they're doing a lot for locally here in the health community. Um, as well as for not just the health community, but in general in the Durham area, Triangle area, as far as helping everyone with COVID-19, which we'll also talk a little bit with Laura as well, because she's recently was diagnosed with or was positive for COVID-19, and she's already passed it, and or not passed it. She's already on the mend. So find out how she's feeling and what's going on with her. Okay, just waiting around for her. So we'll just talk about some other stuff until she comes on. All right. So next week, well, tomorrow we'll have Chip Sharon on. Cannot wait for you guys to hear from him. He is a bass player. He's an amazing person. He's a father. He's internationally known, I would say, but maybe not everyone knows exactly all the different things he's done because he's done a lot. Oh, yeah, so many fascinating subjects to pursue with her, like, she's conquered so much, like, from going from medical school until deciding to run this sex tech company. I kinda wonder what her parents were thinking when she told them, "Hey, by the way, I'm gonna drop out of med school and make sex toys for women instead." I wonder how your parents would feel about that. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious what her parents thought about that. You know, but I mean, she was a full-on adult, so just wonder if that was an easy conversation to have or something she had to kinda glide them into. Ooh, this is gonna be a fun show as soon as she's able to. Um, yeah, see, a lot of fun words. I'm trying really hard to sound like an adult today because my mind is going straight to Beavis and Butthead as far as I need to stop looking out my window every time there's something that drives by, because it's so rare that something is going by, and I'm like, "Wait, what's that?" But it's a kid on a bicycle, which I'm happy they're getting exercise, but it keeps distracting me because 'cause I'm so used to nothing being back there. Yes, and I'll talk to my cousin back and forth. Yeah, I've been following her for a while 'cause, I was scheduled to do a show that was about women in leadership. And when I first heard about her entering into the contest, because I had all these different Google alerts, and somehow she popped up, and immediately I was like, "Oh, now this is a woman I want to know and want to interview," because she's doing things that you don't normally hear of women doing. You hear so much of men making products for women, although they don't know our. I mean, I'm sure they can learn our anatomy, but they don't have our anatomy. So how do they really know what really works for a woman? And is vibrating really the best? I should go ahead and say this might not be for people under a certain age. So go ahead if your kids are around or younger ears are nearby. This is going to be an adult conversation about sex health, and so much more. But I just want to make sure that if there are children ears nearby, or maybe adult ears that can't handle adult conversations like this may not be the show for you. But for the more mature, well, seemingly mature, at least by number and age, maybe mature, this is for you guys. This is a show for maybe women who are social distancing, or maybe there's women who want to learn about owning their pleasure because maybe they haven't had an orgasm before, because there is a statistic, I think it's like 35% of women have never had an orgasm in their life. And then there's some who's never had a blended orgasm, which I'll have her explain more of that, what exactly that entails. What does that mean? And there's a lot of misinformation about G spots and other things. I'm going to let the expert obviously speak about this, but just from following her and her story, I've learned so much, even as someone I thought I knew. Oh, yeah, men who are curious can watch, but I'm just saying this is for women to understand more about their bodies, to be able to own their pleasure, because I think it's really important for us to know what pleasures us so we can tell our partner how to pleasure us, or feel that empowerment of knowing what works, what doesn't work, and so forth. But and I'm not limiting this just to men and women. Non As long as you have a vagina, I think her products will work for you. So there's that. Yeah, I have no problem with men who are curious because maybe you're wondering how you can give your woman a blended orgasm, and you can find out. There's no there's only an age limit on this, maybe, because maybe people who are not quite mature enough for this conversation shouldn't be involved, which kind of maybe means me. So no, I'm old enough now to handle it, I think. We'll see. But I'm very excited about having her on because she's just accomplished so much. She's done so much and she's opened that conversation. So more people are learning more um, about the different ways that women receive pleasure and that there are so many things that are similar to the penis as far as the vagina goes, as far as where or how we can be stimulated to receive orgasm. And I think sometimes people think of sex as just being an act that's pleasurable for the men and not necessarily for the woman. Yay, she's here. Here's my beautiful friend. Always the smart ones that are late. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god,
You're a
no, I've
busy woman.
been
It's
like,
okay. You're a CEO and
no, I've
everything
been
else.
trying to figure out like how to get this stupid thing to work.
Oh,
Yeah, it
well.
like because yeah, it would not like the link I had was broken and I had to get it again from Becca.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
wondering if I should just pop it. Are you on your are you
Whoops.
on your computer?
Yes, I'm on my computer.
Okay, I'm gonna use the link here because it's like my phone is not happening. It's not happy about it.
Oh, okay.
Let me
No
try
worries.
quick.
Honestly, we've been having a lot of issues with the software that it seems to work better on the phone than it does on your laptop, but whatever works, we'll try it out.
Okay, give me
Uh,
super sorry about that. I've been like dicking around with it for like 10 minutes, just like, oh my
uh,
god. I hate being late.
no
Um,
worries. Everybody, I mean, this is the new normal. Things happen when they
right?
happen. I'm so flexible, and I had a lot of fun talking about vaginas and penises while I was waiting for you. Oh no, she'll be back. I guess I'll go back to talking about vaginas and penises. No, I'm kidding. Definitely glad my daughter is not within earshot while I'm having this conversation so I can feel like a grown up and really talk. So feel free. This is a great time to share with your women friends, your men friends, or maybe you need to drop a hint to your lover, whoever that may be, about, hey, let's listen to this so we can get some tips and learn how to properly or at least explore. Because one of the things that I enjoy about her products is that they're so customizable as opposed to some of the other toys that are out in the market where I mean, they're one size fits all and they are not as pliable as hers, where I'm assuming maybe she'll have one with her where she can show that you can mold and move it to yourself so it fits exactly where your pleasure points might be. Or gosh, this is going to be a fun conversation whenever she comes back, because talking about it by myself, I'm feeling very I guess I guess I'm self pleasuring and the conversation is very one sided right now, but I'm very excited about her telling more, because I think there's a lot of women who have also experienced a lot of trauma in different uh, I don't know if it's just my generation, but maybe older as well, where we were just taught so much about sexual pleasure being more so for men than for women. And just as times have progressed and sexual freedom has come about, people have gotten that idea that, or have learned that it's not just about men's pleasure, it's about both of the partners enjoying the sexual act. Yeah, see, poor thing. She's on her computer and it's not working. Let me just oh, it is. Okay. Oh my gosh.
It kicked me out. So
Oh, well, here you are, Miss Laura DiCarlo, CEO, founder of Laura DiCarlo, and an amazing overall badass woman who has accomplished so much. I'm so glad you're here. I did a very long introduction. Nobody needs to hear me talk anymore very awkwardly. Go ahead and tell us about, well, tell us how you got started in sex tech. Let's start there.
um Yeah, I'm pretty sure that nobody actually just like leaves school, or in my case, leaves
Especially med school.
and it's like, I'm gonna go start a sex tech company. So it was even when I left, it wasn't even like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. It was more like I wanted to find a solution to a problem.
Right.
And it, it just it, I guess like when I went into med school, when I started going into medical, I wanted to do something that changed people's lives, that really actually like moved the needle. And I didn't know, I thought that medical was a place for me to be able to do that. And ironically, I found that I was able to do that in sex tech. So
Oh wait, my kid looking at me is not like I want to be in all mommy mode. I mean, I don't want to be in mommy mode. I want to be in sexy woman mode right now.
oh my
And looking at my kid doesn't, yeah, it's not so sexy. Go for it. Sorry. Shiny ball
um
syndrome.
um so yeah, I it actually started with an orgasm, of course, of all things. I was with a partner. I was about 28 years old, and I had this blended orgasm, which is actually when you stimulate the glans clitoris on the outside and the inside of the vaginal wall and the anterior portion, where a lot of the clitoral anatomy actually butts up against the anterior wall of the vaginal wall. And I remember literally feeling like I was like having a seizure right off the side of the bed, and I was just like, holy shit, that was amazing. And I was with this person that I was just like, like I
You're
was like,
not so
how do I
great,
do that again?
but
But how do I do
yeah.
it again by myself?
Yeah.
And like I said, I was pre-med at the time, so I started actually looking for the a product that would help me to relive that experience again. And I couldn't find it. It didn't exist. I wanted something that, you know, could actually mimic human motion instead of just vibration.
Right.
I wanted something that could actually fit me and fit a range of body types and individuals. And that didn't work either, because I was buying products, you know, experimenting with them and trying them, and they wouldn't fit me. And they, you know, they're like, oh, it fits everyone. And but you
Yeah.
couldn't make it, you know, conform it to fit you. And I wanted something that was hands free. And
Mm.
so I'm looking.
Oh no. Oh, I'm gonna let her know her internet was kind of still that at the same time. Anyway, sure she'll be back soon, but her internet was kind of buffering, so hopefully she can turn off some devices to make sure we can see her and hear her in the same time speed. I don't know if it was the same way for you, but for me it was kind of buffering, but I just wanted to write that to her. So, like she was mentioning that she was in med school and had the time of her life one night and discovered that there weren't any devices out there like that. So, like with many CEOs or entrepreneurs, I think that's a common thread where they discover that there's, or even writers in that sense too, where they see a lot of items out there that miss the mark and discover their own way to fix that. And that can be applied to any entrepreneur, anybody that's out there that's thinking of creating something. Like, let this be your inspiration to go do it. And let this be the time to try to maybe go pursue it now that you have the extra time. You don't have anywhere else to go. Like, you're stuck at home. Like, maybe it's a good time to come up with a game plan, call some friends, and just start brainstorming what they like and you like and figure stuff out. Not necessarily in the sec tech space, but any space that you're interested in or notice that there's something that's missing. So, yeah, hopefully she's gonna come back soon. I can keep talking about her and her products. Look, I can pull up the website and show you even. Ah, nope, she's back. Okay. Uh, oh, wait. Oh, actually, it's not really back. It's empty. Oh, there you are.
Just going.
Yay!
I could actually see you and hear you the whole
Oh,
time.
okay.
And I'm just
Oh,
like, I'm right here. I'm
oh
so
no.
close.
Well, I was like, you were kind of
No.
buffering before, which you're not now. I was like, maybe turn off some Wi-Fi
I
devices.
I mean I mean this isn't Wi-Fi connected, so it should be
Oh,
fine.
well, maybe your Apple TV.
No, all of it turned it off. Anyway,
Okay, great. Because you look a lot better. Not saying, I
okay.
mean, like as far as being
Ah,
digital.
you're like, no, you look,
Yeah, and I mean, well, we'll get to that later. I don't even want to jump. to that, but I've seen you where you were supposedly sick and you still looked amazing. I was like,
Oh
if
my
I
God.
looked like that sick. But anyway, we'll
No,
go back
it's
to you were
like,
explaining why you started your sex tech company and the blended orgasm experience. And
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
like
I mean,
I'm all
when
in.
so I was looking for that product. Product didn't exist, and then what? The second thing I went looking for as a a very curious med student, I was
Right.
like, okay, where's the data that I would need in order
Mm.
to start designing and engineering a product that could do this? And so I went looking for it, and that didn't exist either because
I
we
wonder why.
I know. We didn't near enough research, and we still don't. We're still I'm
No.
pushing for that. So, I actually was able to kind of start putting together a design, and even then, I was still very nervous about starting a company. Even talking about the idea because I didn't know the first thing about starting a company. I didn't know the first thing about. I thought entrepreneurs were like people that started mom and pop shops and restaurants and stuff.
Mm.
Like I didn't even cross my mind that you know a female or a female facing person my age that had never like studied business could actually start a company, like
Mhm.
a real company, a tech company. So I was terrified for a while.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to some of the right people, and they're like, it sounds like you have an idea like for an invention or like for a company. And I was like, I am not an inventor, and I'm not a businesswoman. But if I was going to create an invention, this is what I would do.
Right.
And they were like, holy shit, like if you do that, we'll help you like figure out how to get funding. And I was like, right. So again, failure to launch, total perfectionist, complete control freak. And I'm just like,
Sounds like an entrepreneur. Works.
yeah, I'm like, okay, I don't even know. So I'm the process, like over the years, I've really had to teach myself how to not be a perfectionist,
Hmm.
completely let go of that control and allow others to shine where they need to shine. But to get kicked off, actually, when I finally did actually pick up and start the company, I went to Oregon State University and I sat down with Dr. John Parmigiani, who is the head of the MIME lab at Oregon State, who happens to be the top 4 robotics lab in the country. So I was in the right
Wow.
place. So
Yeah.
I pitched this idea to him, and he just like blanched, just went completely white, and then he turned bright red, and he was like, and I was like, but here, I have this list of 52 functional engineering requirements. I do come from a bit of an engineering family. So
Nice.
I put together all these specifications and requirements, and he got really excited. So we kicked off this Lord DiCarlo industry-funded research program.
Mhm.
And within about 8 months or so, we had a prototype, and we had filed for 5 patents. And we decided, well, we might as well just shoot from the moon and go after one of the biggest awards in the tech space at the Consumer Electronics Show. And so we applied. We didn't think we would get it because, I mean, we're a female-led, tiny little engineering company with mostly female and female-facing and non-binary engineers. So we're just like, yeah, they're probably going to laugh at us because that's what we're used to. And
Oh.
and we got it. And we thought that signified kind of a change in the trajectory of how society looks at sexuality, and the intersection of
Right.
technology with that very important conversation. So we're getting ready for this huge show. We're freaking out. I'm raising more funds to be able to support this. We've engaged with a PR company. We're hiring on marketing people, doing all sorts of stuff. And then we get an email from the CTA, the Consumer Technology Association, after we
Which owns CES, right?
which
Yeah.
runs CES. And we were actually
Before we start talking again, she's writing me, but it's the 3 dots, which is the longest 3 dots ever.
Oh my God. It's like a swirling concentration wheel of death.
That's what I call it, the color wheel of death.
Let's see.
Oh boy. Same look repeating. Huh. Okay, you're back. Yay, we're back. Hi.
Maybe different devices.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we're Elsa and Anna
Sideways.
frozen.
I'll get this at some point.
Yeah,
Shit. Oh shit. Trying
hopefully.
that.
Looking good.
I'll touch it.
Okay. So what was that
Oh,
engineering degree again? No, I'm kidding.
absolute shit show.
No,
Yeah.
it's all good. It's all good. I'm so not tech savvy, so it's kind of like all I know is to close it and come back.
Hey, it's worked for me 3 times so far.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
why not?
So
It happens with
ridiculous.
so many, I guess now streaming and home, it's a lot on the system, so
Yeah.
we just roll with it. It's the same like on even the networks now. I'm noticing they have the same problem. So I'm like, yeah,
I
c'est
know.
la vie.
I sent a message to my social media team the other day. I was like,
Mm.
I can't remember what we were talking about. And I was just literally was like, oh my god, can everybody get off the fucking internet? I need to do shit.
Like only
Everybody's
essential
just, like,
people should be on.
sucking up my bandwidth. Ah,
So speaking of sucking and them taking away your award,
nice segue, Meal.
I do my best. I took improv.
Speaking of sucking. Anyway, so so they gave us this award and then they take it away on the grounds that it's immoral or obscene or profane, and I'm just like, holy shit. So we tried to talk them through this and how biased that was,
Right.
and just and literally said, like, like, your decision is extremely arbitrary and it's capricious and it's biased. Like, you've had products that are sexual for male, geared towards a male gaze on your
Like a
floor.
whole sex toy, right? Like
We
a whole
are
sex
poor.
doll or
And
something.
they had a sex doll, and forgive me for saying, but she would tell you how great you are. You could change your face, you could change your accent, and then she'd give you a blowjob.
No.
And I'm just like, how is but
That's crazy. That's insane.
yeah, and then not only that, but I mean, they had a booth babe problem, and there's nothing wrong with having, you know,
Mm.
like, people there to promote your, or sports teams or people that know about your product, but like, I mean, they were literally like, these people know nothing about the product. They were there
Yeah.
just completely objectifying women's bodies. And then in 2017 and 2018, not one female facing keynote speaker or not one. And this is a show that has over 180,000 attendees, almost 5,000 vendors, and not one single keynote speaker that identified or that was non-binary. Nothing, nada, nada. All
That's
almost
insane.
predominantly white males. And so we pointed that out to them, and we said, like, look, you have an inclusion problem. You
For
have a
sure.
diversity problem across multiple across
The whole
multiple
board,
countries
yeah,
all
whether it
over.
was on the floor or on the
And
panel, yeah.
they stuck, and then they were like, nope, you know what? In fact, you're causing trouble. We're going to take your award away from you, and you're being banned from the show. And we're like,
What?
all
Men
right,
with power.
don't say we didn't warn you. So we took the story, and we ended up releasing it on an international platform the day before CES went live, and we became a bit of an international sensation overnight. I became a motivational speaker overnight, which was really funny because I went from like dorking around in the engineering lab to, standing on a stage at Forbes in Israel going derp.
No, I watched that. You did a great job. I did not know that was your first one, though. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, the one in Israel was, and then, I actually just gave my first keynote at Women in Tech conference in Stockholm, Sweden. And it's still like, I think it's important to just like kind of start out with saying what's on your mind. I digress, but start out with what's on your mind. Because I walked on stage and there's, 3,000 people, in the mezzanine and on the floor. And I'm just like, I went, oh, hi, there's a lot of you out there, isn't there?
Well, even to think about, like, I don't know, maybe it's just from living in areas where you just hear about Israel being very conservative, to just think that Israel was more opening to your product and to you than even in California. Like, it just sounds ridiculous. Or in Las Vegas,
Nevada.
right?
Las
Yeah.
Vegas.
Sorry, in Las Vegas. Like, what? I mean, I've been to Las Vegas a lot of times. That's
Mhm.
not really the moral capital of any place.
Well, what's interesting is that
Yeah.
20 years ago, there was sex tech at the show explicitly.
Mm.
It was all
Okay.
over the show. And it started because it really started and took off because VHS allowed porn on their platform. They won out over Betamax, but it was a huge technological feat, and porn.
Oh, wait, let me explain what VHS is for the young folks. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Do not
That's what we
recut.
call DVDs.
Don't rewind. Oh my God, I'm such a dork. Yeah, so it used to have a ton of sex tech at the show, and actually they kept butting heads because they couldn't find a happy medium. They I don't think that it was really being done respectfully or tastefully, and so the CTA wasn't happy. And these companies, these sex tech companies, kept getting pushed closer, further and further to the back of the show, and they were even putting, oh, this is terrible, this like makes me just weep for every sex worker out there. They were even putting signs on the bathrooms that said, caution, warning, porn stars also use this bathroom, as if you're going to catch something from sitting on the same toilet seat.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was a fiasco. So ultimately, they ended up going to different times in different space. So now they're two separate shows. One is the AVN, and one is
Okay.
DES. So anyway, so we point out like all of these issues, and we start getting a ton of international press. I start speaking at all of these huge events, and we start growing and getting a lot of traction. And a couple months in, I get an email from Gary Shapiro, who is the CEO of the CTA, Consumer Technology Association, that puts on CES every year, and it just says, "Can we talk?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So our teams got together on a conference call, and the first thing they said, that Gary said, was, "We owe you a big apology.
Oh,
We've
great.
never taken your award away. That was extremely unfair to you." And it was very clear at the time, two things. One, obviously they wanted that public mea culpa. They wanted to be exonerated. Who wouldn't? But two, what we did realize is that they really did want to do better.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I mean,
They did want to do better.
I feel like I hear that a lot as like, even I think it's a hashtag, because I can't remember who said it, but they were like, I think they were coming down on a certain 45, but they were saying he could do better. Like, I've heard it. So I think it's a good one. We'll let it pass.
Yeah, we'll let it slide. They wanted.
You've talked at Stockholm. You're good. Which I also want to talk about that experience as well. Like, I thought you had worked as a speaker before, or at least done it before. What was that experience like for you? Like, how did you even prepare for something like that?
That was rough. I'll go in a second. I want to close out the CES thing because
Okay, sure.
this was really. I love closing the loop on this because, we realized they wanted to give our award back, and we went, let's do one better. Let's utilize this opportunity because we would be a really great partner for you to understand how to be better, how to include like all genders, how to be more inclusive, use more inclusive language in your policies, rewrite those policies so that they are respectful to all genders. And let's bring sex tech back to the show. And they went, well, we've talked about it, but nobody has a plan. And I'm like, there's a way to do this that can be done in a very respectful and tasteful manner. And personally, I believe that if you have a product that solves a problem, it's done very respectfully, it's very tastefully done. It truly is innovative, and it's not objectifying of human bodies or female bodies or demoralizing in any way. Then hell yes, it deserves to be at an innovation show. This is the hot seat for innovation. So let's do that. And so we actually we went back. Not only did they give us our award back for OSE, they actually gave us two more new awards for the next two products in the OSE family. One for Onda, which means rolling wave in Italian, and this guy actually just. Okay. Oh, I should probably turn it on first. Um, and this
Is
is
it
just the
needs to be
G-Shock.
charged? No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Oh
Oh,
no,
wow.
no, yeah, I was like, more battery.
No,
Um,
my cousin sent me something today, like, I've been stuck home so long, I'm starting to wonder, why isn't there a B battery? And I'm like, "Stop talking about batteries today. I'm not ready yet." Like, she didn't know what I was
right.
talking about in the show yet,
Oh,
but
I
it was
know.
hilarious.
Oh, trust me. Try running a company that does nothing but this all day long. I'm like,
Right.
it cracks me up because I
You
remember
have
early on
constant
we'd
sex
be sitting
jokes.
there brainstorming, and I'm like, I really want to go home and masturbate. This is awkward.
So you're saying there's not a facility at the actual warehouse to
One, this was
practice
early
something?
on. The way that we've set everything up now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got pictures of me laying on the lab floor, like just going, I think I got it. I think I need a power source. I mean, because everything that we've done in the lab is
Yeah.
we do our own iterations. We have
If not, you can test on lab rats.
no, we
I'm just
just tested
saying.
on the CEO.
Well, I used to work for this company and they had on their on all of their packaging. I can't remember what brand it was, but it said, "Don't worry, we don't test on animals. We only test on celebrities," or something like that.
I like it. Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
So,
We test all of our own product.
okay.
We go through extensive testing actually, with double blinds with blind users so that they don't know where the product's coming from, so they're not.
Okay.
Uh,
I
uh,
mean, but your products are so different than everything else on the market in the sense that it
that's
is bendable and flexible to fit kind of wherever their anatomy gets the best pleasure from. Like it's
yeah.
literally owning your
Well,
own.
the whole idea is
Yeah.
that's also that therein lies an issue too, because
Right.
we know so little about vaginal anatomy and pleasure anatomy really, that it's not going to be perfect the first time. It's
Mhm.
not. That's why we need to do more work. That's why we need to do more data collection. That's why we need good feedback from people that have used it or that want something that fits them better. And that's what I've been doing is I've actually been talking to people,
Yeah.
calling them up and saying, how did you like it? How did you get the fit? Did you not get a fit? Why didn't you get a fit? What can
Right.
we do to make that better? And we've actually, out of those phone calls with me directly to people, which is also hilarious because we get a customer service request and then the CEO calls and they're like, wait, is this Laura? I'm like, yeah.
Not like some other person intern
What
who
better
uses your name
customer
too.
service?
Yeah. Well, what a better way to be hands-on on your product than
Yeah.
more ways than one. Like you're actually making sure you're hearing it directly from consumer. And sometimes I'm sure when they have the CEO on the line, they're like, well, actually, since you can actually make a difference as opposed
Right.
to some random, I don't know who I'm talking to that you can actually, because you also offer with every purchase that they can talk to a sex expert or
Yep.
like, how does
So
that work as well?
that was the other thing, and that's actually where this concept was born of was
Okay.
the program's called Well SX,
Okay.
and we're getting it kicked off. We haven't actually officially kicked it off yet,
Okay.
but we're training our Well SX coaches with experts to work with our customer base and to not just talk about how to get the right fit or to figure out what your journey looks like and what products might be best for you or how to work yourself up to whatever your goal is, although I don't think there's ever one goal. The whole damn thing is a journey, trust me. But the whole idea is to provide a safe space
Right.
for people that want to understand a little bit more about their sexuality, about their bodies, because I think the one big takeaway about sexuality, and this is our social mission,
Mhm.
is that the more you feel comfortable with your sexuality, the more comfortable you are with your identity, the more confident you are, the more empowered you are, and that confident, empowered individual goes out and they do great things. That's
Yeah.
how we want to change the world. Is we want to help everybody get there just a little bit easier. And
Yeah.
so it's the goal is to just help people feel a little bit more comfortable in
And I think that's an important
regards to sexuality.
conversation. Yeah, I think that's a huge conversation that a lot of women need to have and have that someone that can give them the language to help them have that conversation, not only with themselves and exploring it, but when they're talking to their partner. Because
Yeah.
I was surprised. Luckily, she doesn't have social media, so she may never know I'm talking about her. But one of my girlfriends was telling me that with her husband, that she had never had an orgasm with him, that she always, like, after he had his orgasm, she would go and pleasure herself to make sure she had one as well and she didn't
Mhm.
even know how to have that conversation with someone that she loved enough to marry. And I was just like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah,
how does that exist? Because I remember very
that's
young.
that
I'm
shame.
so hoping my mom is not on this watching this today, but very young hearing that if you have sex with somebody more than once and you don't have an orgasm, that's on you, not on them, because you didn't tell them what you needed, what you wanted, or like, yeah. So,
I guess there's part of me that agrees, but there's a huge part of me that completely disagrees with that statement,
hmm,
because there are so many people that are shamed and stigmatized
mm-hmm.
around. I mean, we stigmatize pleasure, period. It doesn't matter if it's sexual or not. We stigmatize and shame people for pursuing pleasure because that's it's we perceive that as being selfish.
I think
Um
for women, especially more
Particularly,
so than
yes.
men. Yeah,
Oh, hell yes.
yeah. Men are definitely praised on getting pleasure as much
Yeah.
as possible.
I mean,
Rack it up.
we've been testing out like a video through my personal brand, because we
Okay.
can't advertise as a company on social media platforms. So, we created, my brand as a public figure, as a public speaker, and we put a video up, and it's literally like a 5-second video that's just like, come check out this website, be empowered in your sexuality, erase stigma. And that's literally it. There's no sound, nothing. And we tested that
Hmm.
on social media, and we got some of the nastiest trolls.
Oh
um
no.
not even like, I don't like your product. It was all men in their 40s and 50s, white males that hate women, hate them, hate me. And I was just like, ooh, we got a lot of work to do. They're like, oh, you have a man face. You're just angry. And I'm like, yeah, that's
What?
my problem. Oh yeah. And there was one in there that was like, you know, it's all on you if you can't get there. If you should be having sex with your man every day, and that's the only way that you should be pursuing pleasure. And I'm just like, okay,
That.
motherfucker, for one, like, we have been stigmatized and made to feel like slutty, shameless, like shameful
Mm,
whores for even wanting to understand our bodies better. So don't even try to tell me for a second that because I'm like pursuing my own pleasure, that
mm.
I'm like, there's something wrong with that. So I have been stigmatized since I was a little girl and told that everything that I'm doing is absolutely that is hold on, I just got a thing. Um that what I'm doing is shameful and it's slutty.
Mhm.
Whereas we should be lifting these people up and allowing them to embrace their sexuality, not make them
Right.
feel worse about it. So no, if you didn't tell your partner by the second time, it's still not. I don't think it's your fault. I think the fact is we just need. Hold on 1 second.
Of course. I was going to re-clarify that statement. I might have said it too harshly, but more or less that you have that power of voicing for yourself
Yeah,
what you want in that sense. Like, but at the same time, I get what you're saying because, yeah. Oh yeah, and I want to make sure that when we're saying it doesn't have to just be with a man, but I'm just saying in the sense that it's always promoted in a way that only the man is allowed to get pleasure in sex. Not, oh gosh, there's like one of my dog hairs on my mic and it's driving me nuts. Because
um,
I keep, oh, there it goes. Okay. I keep seeing it distracting me. But yeah,
well,
I don't want it in my
I think
mouth.
what's really important is that we have discovered, through this Well SX program, that people are
Mm,
responding really well, and that, um, through our studies as well,
yeah.
we've actually done a study. We did a study last year with over 1,500 people and
Oh,
asked
wow.
them, what are the things that you like sexually. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I'm getting feedback and it's really distracting.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. Hang on.
Yeah. No,
Okay,
that's
that's a little
okay.
better. It's not that bad. What are the things you like? How do you talk to your partner? What's your comfort level with your own body? What's your knowledge around your own pleasure points? How do you masturbate? Why do you masturbate? We found that the biggest reasons people were masturbating was because they were actually pursuing things like better sleep, decreased
Mm,
stress, better overall well-being. Guess what that sounds like to me? That sounds like health and wellness to me.
yeah, it sounds like
But the
self-care.
the
Yeah.
shame level and dissatisfaction with somebody, with your own body, was actually really high.
Yeah.
And we found that only about 30% that nearly 30% of these people, um, they can't have an orgasm during interaction with their partners, and they didn't feel comfortable talking about it either. And there's that stigma, there's that shame again. So that's why we wanted to do this. I think we're the very first company to actually kick off a program like this, where just talk to us about it. That's what we're here for. We want to bring that human element to this conversation. It's a very crucial conversation, and the only way that we are going to destigmatize it and bring it into a mainstream space is if we keep talking about it.
Right. Make it normalized. Like I think you were saying in one of your lives, or I don't know. I've watched a lot of your videos over the years, so I don't remember where I heard it, but I remember like the more we talk about vaginas, the less stigma will be about it. So I appreciate all that you're doing, because I just thought like with the 70s, there was this whole movement, at least what I read about the 70s anyway, that there was all of this sexual empowering and all of that. And I wonder where the disconnect happened. Maybe it was the Reagan years where everything went back conservative. Maybe, I don't know, but there was this whole free love movement and enjoying yourselves, and then all of a sudden it died off. And what do you project as far as like what's your goal with all of this, like with doing with sex tech and
like I said, it's that social mission. We've taken that social mission, and we've kind of discovered that through the CES process, when we discovered this huge disparity between genders and sexuality and acceptance. We took that social mission that's rooted in allowing everybody to feel a little more comfortable in their own skin, because we know I can't change the world by myself, but I sure as hell can empower others to feel more comfortable in their individuality. And we know that when people feel more confident and empowered, they go out and they do really great things.
Right.
And they, together we change the world better. If we can change a couple of minds, we can make help a few people feel just more at home in their own bodies. That's a great step towards changing the world. But it's also the way that we're doing that is creating products that are thoughtfully innovative and utilize the data that we're collecting, not just innovating in a bubble and making things that we think other people are going to like, but actually asking our communities, and what are the biggest problems with sexuality. We've actually started another study right now, and we're working with several experts that one of them is works with the Kinsey Institute, and I just adore him. And what we're trying to figure out is what are the biggest problems in sexuality, and what can we do utilizing the technology that we have the capability of creating in order to solve those problems, and how can we utilize our educators, our empowered folks internally, to help provide a service for folks where they can kind of discover their own personal journey, because we know that sex is directly linked to identity, and the more that we can allow people to feel comfortable in their own identity, one, makes them feel more confident, but two, it allows people to accept other people's identities.
Right.
And that's going to be a crucial step in the next societal evolution that this entire planet desperately needs to see.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I want to make sure that we make time for some of the comments, but I want to get to this other point really quickly. With you being a public speaker, because I think so many people now, since they're staying home and having to work from home, they really need to kind of own their space through the computer, and like, you know what I mean? Like they don't have the opportunity to kind of perform in front of a boardroom and so on, but you've been doing a lot of lives as well. What kind of tips can you give for women, or anyone actually, not just women, but that to kind of help own the space and make sure that their message is heard and received through the computer screen or camera screen, or even on stage? Like, is there any connection or
speak from the heart, honestly?
Okay.
Like I said, when I was at WIT, I got up there and I deviated from my speech quite a bit, and it was just out of the spirit of remaining authentic. Like I'm standing there. Remember that you're speaking to human beings. They are just as scared. They are just as terrified. They have just as much imposter syndrome as you do. And guess what? If you're an expert in what you're an expert in, you know way more than they ever will in your subject matter. So remain confident in that. Know that people are showing up to listen to you because you are important, because what you do know does matter. And and your voice is important. So I suffer a lot from the imposter syndrome. I love getting on stage, but I'm also terrified of it. But I do remember that, helping to remind other folks that, I may look like I know what I'm doing. Most of the time I feel like I have no fucking clue.
So kind of stepping back, because I asked this earlier, but we had to finish up with the CES. And I kind of want to finish up. I think there's still more I want to know about CS. Like, you went back since then. What were the biggest differences that were a positive that you would like to see them kind of keep going with, and even do more to be more inclusive, especially for women and, diversity in general?
I think that, they are a very big association and they've got a lot of work to do. And sometimes getting the message out to everyone is it takes time. It takes maybe 1 or 2 cycles before you can start to get it kind of moderately right. And bear in mind, when they said we'll allow sex tech to come back to the show, they said it will allow sex tech to come back to the show on a 1-year conditional. And we'll see about the following years. So the thing that I saw that was really rewarding was just that we proposed that sex tech be presented in a very different manner. Not different, but just the way that it should be, the way sexuality should be presented, and respectfully and tastefully done. If it's done correctly, then it should be allowed in a mainstream platform. Right. If it's innovative and solving problems, then it should be at a tech show. And the one thing that they proposed to me early on was, oh, well, let's give sex tech its own section. So you can have your own section of sex tech.
Oh, like the VHS tape days where you have to go through the black curtain to get there.
And my immediate reaction was absolutely not.
Yeah.
And they said, well, why? And I was like, well, you know why? Because we just did the study and we found out that, guess what? It completely solidified the fact that sexual health and wellness is health and wellness. And guess what? You have a health and wellness section. So we deserve to be right next to the sleep tech folks, to the meditation tech folks, all of those folks, because guess what? Sexual health and wellness is just that. So we saw sex tech interspersed throughout the entire sexual health and wellness category. And it did one extra thing that I was really hoping it would do, is it helped to normalize and just make sex tech seem more mainstream, because you'd walk past this new yoga app, and then you'd walk past this sleep tech company, and then there's a sex tech company, and these guys do this tennis app, and wait, there's a sex tech company.
Yeah. So what about the panel? Were there more women as well? Or was it just you?
There were some people that were there talking that actually did a panel with Rachel Braun Sherrill, who is she's absolutely amazing. We talked about being entrepreneurs and funding in a very stigmatized space, particularly as female-facing individuals and women, and what that's like and how it differentiates. And there's a lot of reasons, that it differentiates. But I think as long as you look at it from the way that I look at it, it's a business. Right. Like I have meetings. We go through financials. We go through marketing. Strategy. We sit down and we have our PR. Like, it's no different than any other business, except our subject matter is way more fun than yours.
Yeah. I was going to say way more pleasurable.
Yes.
You enjoy your homework.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to go do some market research. I'll be
in about 3 to 4 hours. No, I'm kidding. That's awesome. So, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact why you had that beautiful selfie while you were sick. So can you talk a little bit about your experience with coronavirus and how, am I putting you on the spot?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. I'm like, if it's on social media, I feel like.
And I'm like,
I was like, you're all glowy, and I'm sure that's from the sweat, maybe, but it was just like, what? Is that filtered? Oh yeah, I'm sick in the bed. Totally believe you. But then when you were going through all the different symptoms you experienced, and I've seen you post all these different things about your workouts and so on. So I was just like, whoa, this proves that could happen to anyone. And I didn't know your age, but I won't out you on that either. But you're kind of young as well. So I was just like, What
I have
is going
been
on?
I like I said, I was a Navy nurse. I've
Okay.
been I'm a fitness nut. I am a health nut. I take very good care of my body. I was actually a figure and fitness model when I was in my early 20s.
Oh,
I
wow.
competed. I take my health very seriously. I lift. I think I probably still have the high school squat record at my high school.
Oh, wow.
And so I was in Sweden and I spoke at WIT, and then I was in London and I was with my assistant Becca, and suddenly she didn't look so good. And I was like, well, we're headed
Ouch.
home pretty quick. And then the next day I was like, oh, I don't feel very great. It felt like allergies at first.
Okay.
And it just kind of started to get a little bit worse, and then we fly from Gatwick, London, back to Los Angeles, and I'm in LA, and I'm just going, this is bad. This Something's wrong. And this was before this really blew up. This was before it, like, even we knew that it had hit London. um
Mm.
and so I'm in LA, and we hop on this little puddle jumper, and of course, like, I'm a weirdo. I'm wearing a mask the whole time. Keep in mind, I used to be in healthcare, so I'm wearing a mask. I've got hand sanitizer. I'm trying to take care of myself, thinking I'm staying healthy from other people, but really I'm glad that you know I kept other people safe from me as much as humanly possible. And it eventually ended up sitting down with, the county, and telling them everywhere I was, just so they could follow up on everything.
Right.
But that last leg of the flight was absolutely awful. I got home, we came straight to my house, and we quarantined in my house. And the county came out and gave us a flu test first. And that flu test came back like 5 days later, and it was negative. And I went, holy shit. And it started to
So,
get worse and worse. And that was around the time when I started having respiratory problems, and I started to get really scared. I had never experienced an illness that was so debilitating. It was terrifying. I was so weak that I remember, like, almost like waking up, standing in the bathroom, staring at my hands, crying, because I just couldn't. One, I couldn't figure out how. Didn't remember walking into the bathroom. I could not figure out why my hands were so weak, and I couldn't breathe.
oh,
And luckily,
wow.
it didn't get so bad that I ended up in the hospital. But I think if it gotten any worse, I probably would have. And I am a very healthy 34-year-old female who's extreme. Like, I work out like a fucking crazy girl, and I try to take care of myself to the best of my ability, especially being an entrepreneur, which can be really hard. And it rocked me. And then when
How
I
many days
finally
did you have symptoms? Like, how long were you, like, at that point where you felt debilitated with it?
from the moment of the very first symptom till until the moment I got a negative test back was 37 days. And the so I started becoming asymptomatic. And so I actually went to, and there was a period in there where it was so bad. I called my mom. I was crying. I was like, I don't want to die. I was
Yeah.
terrified.
Oh my gosh.
So I started to recuperate, but what was crazy is, I normally, if I'm sick, I bounce back pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Um, I did not bounce back. My body was just like, no, you're not. Like, I had no symptoms at that point, and but I was still lightheaded. I was feeling faint. My body, like, everything, my body was just completely racked. And
Mm.
it was another 2 weeks after being asymptomatic, and I had like a little bit of an uptick in, like, kind of a relapse in symptoms in there, and I got a positive test back, even though I'd been asymptomatic for over a week and a half. I got a positive test back,
Okay.
and then another 2 weeks after that, I finally got a negative test back. Everything from the shortness of breath, and in a way that I can't even describe. It was like this deep cold feeling. If I tried to breathe in too deep, it felt like an icy hand reaching into my chest, and I would just couldn't
Oh,
stop coughing. And
oh, poor thing.
I completely lost my sense of taste and my sense of
I've heard
smell.
that. Okay.
Um, I wasn't like snotty, but I was definitely like, people are like, "Oh, it's a dry thing." I'm like, it's not a dry thing. Not for everyone.
Okay.
I was gross.
Yeah. Oh gosh, poor thing.
Yeah, I pretty much looked like death for about a month, and
Was there anything that you took to help you feel better? Like, was
I
any
made so
medication at
much
all?
chicken soup. You know what?
Okay.
I was actually taking both ibuprofen and acetaminophen, and then I
Okay.
found out afterwards that might have actually made it worse or made the relapse happen was the
Ah.
ibuprofen because
Huh.
they were finding that out after the fact.
Okay.
I Oh, let's see. I actually have an inhaler, just due to allergies, and that helped significantly.
Okay.
Um, but really, it was I ate a lot of I had to force feed myself chicken soup because it just tasted like water.
Oh.
I couldn't taste anything. I didn't want to eat anything. I lost about 10 pounds. Um, it was just there wasn't a lot that I could do except for just hydrate as much as humanly possible, make sure I was still getting enough electrolytes, and sleep.
Okay.
And I felt terrible because I mean, especially if you lead or run a business, like as much of a perfectionist and control freak as I am, I'm like I just want to be there for the team, and I'm like,
Mhm.
and I couldn't
Mhm.
even stay awake, and
Oh my
it
poor
was
thing.
it was brutal.
Now, you also said that your assistant was going through it. Was it the same for her, or did she have was like less
Almost.
problematic? Or sorry, I'm
She
sorry.
had all the same symptoms that I did,
Okay.
except her respiratory issues weren't nearly as bad, and she just didn't get hit as hard as I did.
Okay.
Um, and but she ended up with not being able to smell or taste anything a lot longer than I did, and it actually came
Okay.
back again for her. But she's been able to go home back to her partner and her dog,
Very
and
important.
they've been fine. But she took a test. They had her take a test, and they were like, oh, it came back inconclusive, and then they retested that same test 2 weeks later, and it was still positive. So there's just we know very little about this, and we're learning a
Absolutely.
lot. But it is not something to mess with, and that I can't stress social distancing enough. This needs to be taken seriously. And I'm sorry, but if you think you're healthy and your body can handle it, seriously check yourself because it's not about you. It's
Mhm.
about the other person that you're going to affect because if you get sick, you will very likely kill someone else.
Mhm.
And that's my biggest fear is like the folks that can't handle this
Yeah.
kind of illness, you
So
know?
now I have to ask, since you've been through it, like when you go out or if you do go out, how do you stay safe? Do you wear a mask? Do you do the gloves? Like what is your protocol now since you've been through it? What would you want for other people to know as far as because we hear so many different views and everybody like I wear gloves and a mask whenever I go out, but at the same time, not everybody's following that around me. And I'd love to hear from someone that's actually gone through it
Right.
what you do to protect other people and yourself because you could get it again. And
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
there's a modicum of xenophobia that I've noticed around like if you
yes.
do wear a mask. I'm in a small town. I'm in Bend, Oregon, and it's small-ish,
Hmm.
but I wear a mask. I bring gloves with me, but I keep hand sanitizer,
Okay.
and I just distance from folks, and I try not to don't touch the thing and then go, oh, I want this thing instead. Just grab the thing you want, because the only reason I've left the house to go any public place that isn't just like for a walk in the park is the
Right.
grocery store when I absolutely need it. And
Same.
um but I have noticed that people will, like, if you're wearing a mask, people still look at you like there's something wrong with you, that there's something weird. And
Hmm.
it's like, this is not just for my safety, this is for yours.
As
Like,
well. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was at the grocery store today for the first time in a long time because I try to go as long as I can without. And they were doing a great job at they had all the tape on the floor and everything. But then it was at Aldi's. Do you guys have Aldi's in Oregon?
No.
Oh, well, okay. So at Aldi's, they don't provide you with bags, so you have to kind of like bag your stuff yourself and everything. It's a German grocery store,
Yeah.
and so like she was putting everything in my basket, and I was like grabbing my stuff out after I paid. And the other lady that was after me, she had put her stuff also in my basket, and she was like, all of a sudden, then she was like right on top of me, like, oh my god, seriously, this is the part where you're gonna get right on top of me, like, stay
Yeah.
at the tape.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
I will
doing?
turn around and tell
Yeah.
people you need to back up and give me
Okay.
space.
Okay.
And you know what? It's just and just be polite about it, but be
Yeah.
firm. Some people think that it's funny or cute to get in your space because they don't take it as seriously as you do.
Right.
You take it seriously, then you need to project that.
Mhm.
It's not just like, you know, I'm not telling you like go be a bitch about it, but the fact is it is a safety protocol. You're doing this to keep yourself, your family, and others safe. So if somebody is up in your space, tell them to back off. And if anything, and it's like, you know, honestly, if anything, it's if you don't believe in the safety protocols, and you think COVID's a joke, which is, I just can't even wrap my mind around that because I've been
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Then just like, give me my personal space for one,
Yeah.
like my bubble.
Yeah. Right. There was like a meme a long time ago where the guy was wearing like a hula hoop as a belt. I was like,
It was like a giant
you were-
tape, like giant
I'm
tape.
like,
It
that would
looked like a
sell big
planetary
time.
system,
Yeah.
and I was just like, it works. We
Yeah.
actually
Or
saw
even
it.
the
Went on a
John
walk the other
Travolta
day.
Bubble Boy. Like
Yes, yeah.
now I'm
And
like,
went on a
that's
walk
not a bad idea.
went on a walk the other day, and I saw these two ladies walking along the park because we're right next to the river, and
Oh, fun.
they're holding a 6-foot long pole, and one's holding the front half, the other's holding the back half, and I'm like, that them bitches know what
Just
they're
don't
talking
switch
about.
poles.
Yeah,
All
don't
right. Well,
switch
I want to
poles.
be mindful of the time. I know we started a little bit late, but you have
Yeah.
there's a lot of comments I want to go through and make sure I go through
Yeah, I can't see any of these. I'm just like,
Okay. Well, most of them are comments, but they're saying so many fascinating subjects to pursue with you, which we did. Yeah. Oh, wait. This is when before you were on when we were talking back and forth, so I wasn't talking alone. They're like the conversation we were having earlier about owning our pleasure. They were saying Nicole saying it's an awesome, important, and free and discussion. Be liberated and let's chat it up. Absolutely. Let's make sure. Need is the mother of invention. Fill the need for all of those who are like, you definitely filled that need.
yes. What did I say? I talked to are you familiar with podcaster and she thought leader, THOT leader?
No. Oh,
Her name's she goes
I
by
need to
SX
be.
Noir.
No.
I was talking to her earlier today, and she's stuck in New York, and she's just like the most gorgeous, tall thing I've ever seen. But she was like, you know, you really, what you do is it's empathy driven, derived innovation in tech. And I was like, I like it. Yeah.
Very much so. Okay, that was when we were frozen, so I don't need to say that comment. Make sure. Oh, hi from Megan Jones. Oh, they're making fun of the VHS comments.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and this one I wanted to make sure that was said. Rachel Johnson was talking. Don't forget that there's no replicating the amazingness of having sex with a man. LOL.
Oh yeah, that was one of those trolls.
Mm,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
but there is.
I mean, there's a lot of women who would disagree with that statement for sure. That
Right.
Yeah, in the LGBTQ community. So, hey guys, amen to speak from the heart. Authenticity is key always. Good advice, Laura. That is great. Another laugh about the VHS tapes. All the 80s kids are coming in. And we're removing the stigma with talking about sex. Oh, and I love that men are leaving comments, especially Demetrius. He was on my show yesterday with his sister Prissy P. Why do you think sex is still so taboo? Excuse me, Laura. When we see and hear it in all of our music and entertainment, yet it's frowned upon a lot otherwise.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
I mean, it's particularly, and I hate to say this because like even and I, you know, just to go back to when I was talking about like some of the trolls that we had, that they were all, you know, white male, and I think that there's the thing there is that there was a lack of education. The biggest reason that we have taboo around this, I think is a lack of education. People are afraid of things that they don't know more about and the issue here is that we know even far less about female sexuality than we do male sexuality, and we know very little. We educate very little around sexuality, period. So therefore, it just makes it a very taboo subject because people are embarrassed about it. They don't know the answers. So we're encouraging people to ask the hard questions, to explore the answers, because answers can be very individualistic, but we also need to do a lot more study and research around these important physiological structures and how they work. We know that the clitoris is actually makes up about the same size as like making the peace sign, and we know that there is actually no other reason that the clitoris exists in the body than to give the human pleasure.
Hmm.
But the thing is, there's so much more that we need to know. I mean, if you look at us like 100 years ago, you know, the where vibrators came from, it was actually the invention of a doctor, Dr. Mortimer Granville, who was using his hands to stimulate female genitalia in order to combat female hysteria by giving them orgasms. So
Oh my gosh.
he designed the very first hand labor saving vibrator, and I'm sure
Yeah.
his carpal tunnel improved. But I mean, immediately we're
Yeah.
stigmatizing the whole subject by one, we're
It's
calling it female
hysteria.
hysteria. And then we've just wrapped, different vibrators into different colors of silicone, different pinks, different shapes.
Mhm.
And
Rabbits even.
yeah, and further, and we stopped the innovation. So I want to
Mhm.
jumpstart the innovation and get that conversation going. And I think it really, it attributes right back to education.
Now, speaking of education, like when do you think that education should start about sex as well as pleasure? Because I grew up overseas, and so I saw like a video, which I didn't go to a Dutch school, but I lived in a Dutch community where they started talking about sex and love as early as kindergarten, as it being an expression, much like hugging in some ways, like you want to really create that love boundary
Yep.
and so on, as opposed to everything is so taboo and you can't, or even I wouldn't let my daughter attend a class on sex ed because the male teacher was known for telling girls that sex is over when the man is finished. And I was like, there's no way I'm letting her learn that as a starting point of how sex is taught at school. Yeah. I live in the South. I should say that. But I was like, wait, what? He said
No.
what? And that's
Well,
the
I'm
way
gonna
that
say, like,
works?
it sounds like the Dutch got it
Yeah.
right, because
Yeah.
my personal belief is that we should be talking to our kids as soon as kids start touching themselves when they're toddlers.
Mhm.
Are you just gonna tell them that's wrong, and let's not talk about it? They're doing it. You need to talk about it. If your toddler goes out and he hits another kid, do you not talk about it?
Absolutely.
Like, if your kid like jumps up and decides that they're gonna put their hand on the burner, do you not talk about that?
Mhm.
Like, it's they're going to do it. You need to talk about it. And the less you talk about it, the more you stigmatize it. The more,
Mm.
if you tell them just go do it in a room so nobody sees you, guess what you're doing? You're creating shame.
Mhm.
And we're doing that very early. And I think this is probably the first time we're starting to see a generation of parents where they're a little more open about it. They're allowing like their children to explore their bodies a little bit more, but we're still afraid to talk about it. So yeah, I think sex education starts when they're very young. It doesn't mean that we have to talk about porn with them.
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean
Or
you have to make
how
it
yeah.
dirty. Like, look at what we did
Yeah.
at CES. Make it respectful, make it tasteful. Um,
Yeah.
the fact is, it is a physiological reaction. It is like, it is your body. We teach them where
Mhm.
you know where your nose is. Do you know where your clit is?
Yeah. And the whole mirror and
Yeah,
exploring and all of that, yeah. No, well, I could talk to you all day, but let me get to the rest of them. So
exactly.
that was great. What tips do you have for women wanting to enter the space, college age and transitioning professionals?
Ooh. I mean, there are a lot of up and coming companies that are in this space, and some people that are really doing it well. Um, if you're looking at getting into a company like that's currently going, I mean, I would just reach out. We're not hiring right now, but I mean, I look at everything that comes across my desk. We put everything in with our careers folder. If that's something you're looking to do, if you have a new idea, start pitching it. Honestly,
Mhm.
just like that's exactly what I did. I was terrified, but I was at a venture conference, and my very first investor was like, just go start pitching the idea to this, like, go tell those guys over there. And I was like, they're both wearing suits, they look like they're important and they're terrifying. I'm not telling them. He just like
Yeah.
sat me down and he was like, look, nobody knows this subject material better than you do. They're not going to laugh at you. You look like a genius because nobody else knows this subject matter as intimately as you do. And by the way, just like go up and use that term I told you, minimum viable product, and they'll go, oh, she's an entrepreneur that knows what she's talking about. And so I went up to
Wait,
them.
let me write that one down. Minimum viable.
Minimum viable product. So I
Okay.
walked up to them
Put
and I
that in the
started
comments.
talking, just started telling them my idea, just
Yeah.
timid as hell, and I start realizing how interested they are because he was right. Like they didn't know anything about this space, and it was something new and interesting that they could learn.
Mhm.
And so I started getting a little cocky, and I've kind of like wrapped up my whole pitch with, yeah, so now I'm just looking to get to that minimum viable product. I need to put a team together. And they both like looked at each other like, she knows what she's talking about. And they were like, we know this guy. He's known as the prototype guy at Oregon State University, and that's how I found my connection to Oregon State.
Well, I mean, you've done a great job because within 5 weeks, I think I'm getting all the numbers confused now, but it was like 3 million of pre-sales within the first 5 weeks. Like,
yeah, we had a goal of $1 million for the entire year of 2019. And you know, as engineering projects go, manufacturing projects go, like our release date kept getting pushed back because we just like little bit more perfect.
right.
And so our window to make $1 million went from like 5 months to 5 weeks. And so we released on November 24th last year, and we made $1 million in 5 hours. Yeah. And then we ended up tripling that goal and made $3 million before the end of the year in 5 weeks.
That's amazing. Okay. One more. Oh, get some more. It's 7:22. Okay. How do we get more equity and funding for the research of women's sexuality?
How do we get more equity in funding? Ooh. That's actually one of my favorite stories for this is actually from Rachel Bronsherl. She loves the term vagipreneur, which I love. She wrote the book called Orgasmic Leadership, which is I would highly recommend it. She
Write that one down.
She told me this great story about you know, she was in it again it's the same exact story that I've been telling. Is she was pitching these ideas to these investors, and everybody, as soon as they started talking about about this, you know, sexual idea, everybody would just kind of gloss over, roll their eyes, or ask some stupid like sarcastic question. And so by the time they went through like 4 of these meetings, she pulled out $100 bill and she put it on the table, and she said, if there's the first person that asks me a question that they think that I actually cannot answer, or if you think that you're asking a question that is cute or funny, like you're not getting this, but basically, like, you know, anybody here that actually asks a relevant question within the subject matter gets this $100 bill. Because if you think that, like, basically just explain to them, like, if you think that you know more about this subject matter than I do, you're sadly mistaken. The fact is that this is a huge there's a huge market opportunity here, and you're investors. What do you invest in? You invest in things that you see delivering an ROI, a return on your investment. So if you're actually interested in a return on your investment, we highly recommend that you sit down, you listen, and you take, you know, like really take this seriously, because we've done our due diligence. Have you?
Right. Wow. Okay. Definitely. Let me see if there's any more. Yeah, I think that's it for the questions. Most are just saying that they agree, talk about it. And Demetrius has another great point. Interesting, we put an age limit on the most natural thing we do. We've made ourselves afraid to be human. Very true.
Right.
Especially for women. And I think you've been so thankful. I'm so thankful that you were so just giving of your time. Oh my gosh, it happens. Like, I'm just glad it was, no offense, I'm glad it was on your end and not mine, because then I would felt like so unprofessional. How in the world am I? And I wouldn't know how to fix it.
And I'm like, hi. I'll come back.
It was all
Oh,
good. It
one
was
more thing
perfect.
on that equity question, actually, for
Yeah, sure.
Nicole asked. The other thing too is that I haven't gotten any funding from VC, but I do highly recommend, like, if you're looking at VC, don't just go to your local VC. There are actually a lot of VCs that are starting to pop up that
Mm,
are that are female led, that are there's more female majority there, that are really trying to diversify their platforms,
yeah, like
and see the not just like how the optics of what diversity looks like, but they understand that the more you have different types of people, of different races, of different genders, of different abilities, of different handicaps, of different financial backgrounds, the more people you put at the same table, the better better your return is going to be, the better product you're going to make for everyone. So start, instead of just going, oh, I'm just going to look for the local VCs, go out and find those VCs that make it a point and understand the value of having a truly diversified fund, because we've done that, and I know exactly who I'd be going to if I needed VC money. They're right at the top of my list. Luckily, we haven't had to do that yet, but I mean, it's, in this economy, we might be looking.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are stuck home right now and running out of things to do and may not have a partner around.
I know, and I got a couple more. I got a couple more
And you
things
got some new
coming.
products coming out too.
Yeah,
Like it just came out this week, right?
yeah, Onda.
Yeah.
This guy
Amazing.
just came out, and then we've got another one, which is Bocce, which actually is similar to
Oh, wait,
this
let me move
portion.
this out of the way so people can get a better picture of it. I still have her comment up.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. Okay.
yeah, it's similar to this portion. It's called Bocce, and it's literally just the external glans clitoral stimulator. But what happens is, it's not just the gland stimulator. It actually stimulates the glands, the bulbs, and the crew a little bit from the external portion, because this cup right here actually has a thrumming motion when you turn it on. So we've got lots of stuff coming out, and
That's
we're looking to really diversify and grow our customer offering. So we'll see what that looks like in the coming months. But in addition to Bachi and Onda that has just come out, we have another two that are coming down the pipeline. And things are the calendar is a little bit
exciting.
skewed because everything's kind of
Yeah.
crazy right now. But if you're just curious about products, give us a call.
Yeah. That's great. Well, again, I cannot thank you enough for coming on to the E Spot. And I have to say something kind of funny because one of my best friends, we share accounts on our TV streaming.
Mhm.
And so he like sent me a message like, Hulu just told me that you turned me on in your bedroom. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm about to change the name so they can never find it. And I changed it to the G Spot and totally forgot. And so today when I was like watching your stuff and I was like, trying to take it from my phone to my Apple TV, and I was like, "Oh yeah, G Spot."
Yeah,
How
yeah,
appropriate that I'm watching Laura DiCarlo on my
very
G
nice.
Spot Apple
Not
TV.
finding that. I'm glad we got to do this finally. I've been like
Me
super looking
too.
forward to this. So thank you.
Me too. No, it was my pleasure. Thanks again. Look forward to following your journey and seeing what else you have coming up.
I know. Yeah, like get in touch with us. We'll you should try out some Laura DiCarlo gear.
Oh, I would love to. Like, since my husband works UPS, we've been kind of yeah, because there's constantly people that he either comes in contact with that has been tested positive or some other like other hubs and so on. So our daughter is high risk, so we both just been like we can't
Yeah,
take the risk.
yeah,
So we have a plasma cleaner in our house for our air filter and so
yeah,
on, which is really nice. But at the same time, it's just like, huh, I
yeah.
might need to invest in myself.
As
'Cause
you
I
should.
need good sleep.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been staying up every night till, like, 2 o'clock in the
Oh
morning.
God, yeah. I know. I'm trying to time box my shit. I'm like, Laura,
Yeah,
you were gonna go and do some like self care right now. That's what you're
yeah, yeah.
gonna do. So
Oh, good.
I've got to run to another meeting because we
No,
stayed over, but
understandable, I
I'm
don't wanna
happy
keep
to
you
see
that
her. It was fabulous
we'll
to
talk on Instagram, you're my
yes.
buddy. Alright,
Thank
thanks
you
again
so
for
much.
stopping by, it was my pleasure, have a great rest of your
You,
week.
you too. Thanks, Camille. Bye.
Absolutely. How fun was that, guys? And women, I wanna be more I need to stop saying just guys. I always say dude and guys for everyone, but how was that all? I know we were like 30 minutes over our time, but we kind of started a little bit late. So thank you for sticking with me. I can't wait for you guys to meet my guest tomorrow. We're going to have Chip Sharon, and then who's a musician. He's going to have us all nice and prepared for the rest of the weekend, get our party started early as far as just, he's hilarious. Like he's been on tour with, not only has he worked with the Sugar Hill Gang, but he tours with Sinbad a lot. And so he's hilarious as well as a musician. So I'm looking forward to that. And he does a lot of fun videos. Go ahead and like find him on Instagram now, where he's like the honorary Lakers player. You'll see when you go to his Instagram. But he's going to be Friday. And then next week is HGTV, but even more, I mean, that's very exciting. But I'm going to have another business on, a women-owned business called Naturnal CBD. Well, it's a Naturnal, but it's a CBD product. I use that product myself. I think I've already shown you guys that I use on my shoulder, but for 420, I thought how perfect to have CBD, have a company come on and talk about all the different types of CBD, what it all means, what's legal, what's not legal, what can you get in your area depending on what your laws are, and so on. Just actually speak to people who know what they're talking about, as opposed to me just being like, oh, well, I